And my wife coughing opened up this video.
I'm sorry. I have asthma, by the way.
So this video is going to be a redo of the one that we did earlier, which is what it's like to be in a relationship with an autistic person.
It is a ride, let me say.
Alright. So the story of how we got together and got engaged is a really long one that we'll probably tell at some point later. But suffice to say, we met in high school, didn't really talk much, connected while I was in college, had our first date and got engaged 10 weeks after that, and then we're engaged for 2.5 years until we got married.
Yeah, we kind of did things in reverse of everyone else.
Yeah. Oh, you should have seen the faces on certain people when I proposed to you that quick.
Yeah, I had a couple people in my group that were a little shocked. They're like, wait, what? I don't know if they said, wait, what? Because of the fact of I got engaged, or wait, what? Because it was that quick. I couldn't tell for sure.
Anyway, so I can't remember when I told you I was autistic. But I think it was pretty early on.
I think it was while we were talking, before we were dating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was before we were dating.
Anyway, I was away at college then.
Yeah, because we were just talking because we were friends. More than anything, it was nice talking to each other. And then it ended up, we turned out dating.
So, how long did it take you to notice that something was different about me?
I could tell you were different when I first met you in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, because, some people may understand this. I actually grew up with trauma. And since I had trauma in my background in childhood, I can pick up on things very quickly. And I can notice things about people almost instantly. And with you, I could tell you were different from everyone else. Mm-hmm. And I could tell you were kind of a black sheep from everyone else.
Yeah, you could say that.
I couldn't really see that on the first impression, but then as I watched you, I could definitely see that. And the people you were hanging with were a little different too. So, I mean, that was another indication.
Not different in a bad way.
No. You guys were just, I can't say rejects, but you guys were your own clique.
The rejects, thanks, honey.
I didn't say you were the rejects. You guys were different in your own way, like kind of like I was. I was a reject. Well, I was rejected by all cliques. You guys had your own little clique going.
Well, I love you anyway. Anyway, we had our first date, and we both knew right after the first date that we were going to get married. Neither of us wanted to say it to the other, but we knew.
Pretty much.
Oh, she just got a haircut yesterday.
Well, I cut it myself.
Yeah.
It got stuck in a fly trap. We will not talk of that.
Before that, her hair went down almost to her knees.
It wasn't quite that long yet.
All I'm saying is, whenever I was in bed with you and I had to roll over, I had to calculate my every move so not to pull your hair. I had to, go all the way to the edge of the bed and then move. Otherwise, I'd turn and pull all your hair.
I'm sorry, honey.
So, what do you think are some difficulties with being with an autistic person?
One of the things I have had some of the worst trouble with probably is assuming that you would just know stuff, or assuming you'd understand certain things, and that's not the case. And there's times where I can't explain it, so I end up relying on you to understand, and you just can't. Yeah. And that's usually where we end up in a fight, but we'll end up coming to terms later. So, I mean, it's something we've had to work with over time, because I know I can't do that, but there's also that hurdle of I just can't explain it because I'm not doing that good in the head. But yeah, that for me has been really hard, just because you don't understand that and you won't get some of that stuff.
Yeah, and that's an autistic thing. You just can't get a lot of stuff.
Yeah. You're not just going to pick up something magically like some other people might. And that's usually when you contact my mother and go, help!
Well, your mother and your brother know how to work with you.
Yes, because I'm quite the cookie.
Now, one thing about being in a relationship with autistic people, a lot of autistic people I know are LGBT in some way, shape, or form, I should say. And I don't know why that is, but one idea I had was maybe because marrying heterosexually is a societal norm, and most autistic people just don't care about societal norms like that.
Yeah.
So,
something I thought about, could it be like something you're familiar with? Like you're familiar with your own anatomy that you want something else that's familiar?
I don't know about that.
I don't know, something that I thought about.
Anyway, I am straight cisgender, which sometimes I feel like the minority in the autism community, but we're all different, like I said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys are all very, very different from each other.
What are you looking at?
Just a bird.
A bird is a bird.
No, they aren't. There's many different birds.
Okay, any other relationship stuff?
Well, okay, so like I had at work someone, I said about that my husband was autistic, and I can't remember how it came up, and he said something along the lines of, well, how do you deal with the whining and the screaming? I'm like, they don't all whine and scream, for one, and if they're whining and screaming, it's something serious. But, no, like, and I told him, I said, my husband don't whine and scream. I said, the time that I have to get worried is when he gets quiet and walks away.
That's called selective mutism, where if I get overloaded too much, they can't talk.
Yeah, and you just gotta go have a moment, and it's that, something to go off of that. So, like, when someone who's autistic gets overloaded, try to not stimulate them more by hugging them sometimes, but if they want to, like, they'll let you know. They'll put out their arms and want a hug or something like that of comfort. It depends on each one. Some of them don't want contact at all, which I've known some that are like that. They don't want contact at all unless it's on their terms. Let it be on their terms. You are the same way. It's got to be on your terms sometimes.
Now, one thing with our relationship and being autistic is there's some things we can't do together. Like, every year in June, they have really loud cars driving up and down Route 30. I don't know how many of you are from York, but there's a part of York called Out on 30, which is basically anything from Interstate 83 to Route 74, and Route 30 isn't a big highway there. It's more like a 6-lane road with shops and everything alongside of it.
Well, it's mostly 2 lanes unless you're right there at George Street.
Yeah.
Then it becomes 6 lanes just because you have the...
No, it's 6 lanes from there to 74 because the rightmost lane breaks off.
Yeah, a lot of them break off, so that's not necessarily a lane. That's more of an off-ramp, continuous off-ramp.
Anyway, I tried to go to the one year, and people make a big deal about this. Like, they'll put their lawn chairs up and sit out there all day, and they bring in food trucks and such. I couldn't handle that.
The revving and the modified, it was too much.
Super loud car engines, I can't handle. It's one of my sensory things.
But, Mike, trains are loud.
Yes, and...
But that is a predictable loud. You know when it's going to happen.
And sometimes I still get scared of train horns. Mm-hmm. And, back when I was in college, people would routinely put train horns on their trucks and drive down the street at 3 in the morning. Or they'd drive up behind me while I was going to class and blast their horn at me. And then I'd complain about it, and people would go, but you like trains. Yes, I like trains. That's not a train.
It is predictable. You know when trains are going to blow their horns.
I was going to say that I like trains, but that isn't a train. That's just an asshole in a truck. Anyway, being out on 30 with the cars, that was one time I got overloaded too bad.
Yeah, it was too... And I didn't know how you would go with it. And
I didn't think it would be as intensive as it was.
Yeah, you were cool with it, and then it didn't go well. So, like, when you're in a relationship with someone who's autistic, and if they're willing to try it, don't discourage it. But as soon as they're having an overload, like what I did was, well, okay, honey, try to sit in the car, see if that helps. And it didn't. So we ended up going home. And I took you home. You decompressed for a while because it took a while. And I said, well, I'll let you alone so you can decompress and unwind. I'm going to go back out with my family. I'll be back. If you need anything, let me know. I mean, you just got to work with it. It can be disappointing, but at the same time, I can understand because even neurotypicals get overloaded with life.
That is often.
No, and it takes a lot more for us to get overloaded.
Though surprisingly, I was okay going to Steamorama.
Well, I guess because, like...
The tractors weren't as loud as you said
yeah,
they were.
the steam tractors, they're loud, but it's an air whistle, and you know what that's like.
I thought you meant, like, the tractor pulls.
Well, they can be, but you were expecting it.
Yeah.
I've noticed one of the key things for you is expecting it. And the cars, it was really hard to pick it out and expect it because they were revving all over the place and they were modified.
Also, big guns I can't handle really well, like cannons.
As long as you're shooting it first, you're usually okay.
I do have some pretty good headphones, like, that have a microphone on them that can only isolate one sound level, which is the sound of a gunshot.
Yeah, and it lowers the hertz.
But you have a 30-06 that you hung with, and I can't shoot that one without those headphones.
Yeah, I actually went out and I looked for really good ones, and I ended up getting Walkers. And they're one of the better brands. And they're one of the more noted brands as well. And I got to change the batteries in them so that way they work good for you, because the last time they weren't as good as they could have been.
Yeah, and sometimes when I was in the Scouts, they'd shoot a cannon off during the flag ceremonies, which I hated.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at some camps, it's not a real cannon. It's just like a gun they stick up a cannon barrel and fire a blank off of. But
oh, and then it echoes. Oh, wow.
But then there was this one camp I went to where I don't know what the cannon was, but it sounded like a nuclear bomb.
I think I would scare the crap out of anybody.
Yeah, and we have a friend who's worked at camp, and he said that they have stopped doing it for Cub Scout weeks. But when I was in the Cub Scouts, they still did it.
Oh, them poor Cub Scouts. No. Autistic or not. No.
Yeah.
Anywho.
I know in the military they shoot a cannon off during the colors anyway, and that's what they were going for. There was also, I just don't understand a lot of stuff, like paranormal stuff she's really into, but it's not my thing. I can't follow it mostly.
Well, it's like, and understand things to a point, but like, it's like, eh.
It's hard to follow because I haven't experienced a lot of stuff like that, so I'll need to follow it a lot before I really get it. So you can still watch it around me, though. It's just not my preferred thing.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing, like, you fully will express when you don't like something. And honestly, that's something I enjoy, is that you outright tell me if you don't like something.
I can't hide how I'm feeling with stuff, and that's gotten me in trouble.
Well,
before.
From a relationship standpoint, that is amazing. Because that's very hard for a lot of normal people. Normal people. What people would consider normal, I should say. Even though that's kind of ignorant.
Yeah, there are people who don't know the term neurotypical.
Yeah, that's why I say normal. Like, I'm neurotypical.
So are most of you.
More than likely. But it's something I've found that's very enjoyable, is how you can't hide when you're not liking something, or...
Like you were worried for the longest time that I didn't like your cooking. If you've seen pictures of me in college versus me now, I got a wife that can cook.
It was very evident in those pictures. Oh my God.
Well, that's the one thing. And then, but when we were growing up and, like, we'd go to someone's house for dinner and they'd make something I didn't like, I couldn't hide it.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't eat some to just be polite, no.
Basically, usually, if you're trying to cook for someone who's autistic, go for definite textures like rice, noodles, and meat.
Well, different autistic people are different versions.
Yeah, but I've noticed a lot of people have issues with stuff that looks or has the texture of snot or puke.
Like oatmeal.
Yeah.
Or tapioca. And most autistic people prefer, like, plain food.
Yeah, like not really spiced.
Like, I think Domino's made a commercial one time, a long time ago, where you could order some weird specialty pizza and get a free cheese pizza for the kids. And in that commercial, they were showing the kids these really weird pizzas, and they were like, no! That's kind of how I am with stuff.
Well, and like, I've noticed some things you like to have complex taste. Other things you don't. Again, you like to expect what you're getting into.
Well, that didn't happen really until I was in college, when my palate expanded a bit more.
Well, you ended up liking Indian food.
I love Indian food.
Yes, Indian food's amazing.
Because meat and rice is a texture that's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So is Chinese food, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there's a lot of cultures that have meat and rice, mainly.
And you like your spaghetti.
I love spaghetti. Spaghetti with bacon was how I got through college.
Mm-hmm. Not with sauce, just spaghetti and bacon and Parmesan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could fry like 2 pieces of bacon, crumble it up over the spaghetti, and it would be really cheap.
And Parmesan and cheddar are two of your favorite cheeses.
Now, it's best if you can get a autistic person to be in a relationship with who has the same interests that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you want to tell them about the steam trains?
Yeah, some people thought maybe I got into trains because of him, just to make him feel better, and I'm like, that's offensive. You obviously don't know me. I always had a fascination with steam trains, and I loved steam. Absolutely loved steam trains. For quite a long time. I was very young. And then you were shocked when Mom backed that up because you thought I was just saying that.
I did, because people said that sometimes.
And I loved how Randy's like, you should meet my friend Mike.
Which was 2 years before we started talking.
Yeah. I had bumped into you once at that point, I think, if I remember right. And, but Randy was like, because I was telling him about how I love steam trains, and I was saying about steam trains, he said, I'm kind of having a deja vu moment. You need to meet my friend Mike. It was funny.
Yeah, and then there's Strasbourg right nearby where you can go see real steam trains.
Yeah, which I had never gone to until I got with you.
And we got married.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting you more into airplanes, too.
Yeah, oh, yeah. My birthday is on September 11th.
September 11th, 96. So
Yeah.
We both remember that day. We're just barely old enough to remember that day.
I remember it very well due to the fact it was my birthday.
Yeah.
And it ruined my birthday for a very long time. And kind of still did, because everyone's in a day of sorrow, and I'm there trying to celebrate my birthday.
Well, I still got you on a plane eventually.
Yeah, how you did that, I have no idea. I guess the
Because-
power of love.
To come see me in college.
Yeah, well, it was cheaper and quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Better than wasting an entire day just to go out to see you on a bus, and then another entire day on a bus back.
Because back then I didn't have a car and you had a beater cars.
Yeah, I didn't have a car I could trust to go all the way out to West Virginia when you went to college.
Yeah, and the one time you did, and then like a few months later it broke.
Yeah, I killed my mom's car. She's still kind of mad at me for that one.
I'm not mad at you for wrecking my truck.
I don't know why I'm the final nail in the coffin for cars. Hey, crossing my fingers.
I'll tell the story of her wrecking my truck another day. Alrighty. Well, the sun is going down and we have somewhere we have to be, so this is gonna have to be it. See yas.
Okay.